galing po sa batas nito dahil 3, 4 po yata ang doctorate ni Senator Tolentino. Boss, magandang umaga po. At sa akin din pong idolo na isa pong tagapagtanggol po ito ng ating kababayan, Senator Raffy Tulfo. Magandang umaga po. At sa lahat po ng ating mga bisita, sa ating pong mga huwes, sa ating pong mga justices, sa ating pong alagad ng batas, sa ating pong mga abogado, sa lahat po ng online, isang mapagpala at mapagpalayang umaga po. Napakalapit ko po sa ating mga guest. Dahil bilang ako po ay estudyante din ng batas. Iba nga lang po, hindi nga lang po ako sa law school nag-aral, kundi sa Bilibid. Yan po ang aking karanasan, ano? Kaya napaka-interesado ko po sa usapin nito. Ako po'y walang kontra sa mga bill na ito. Wala po akong oposisyon sa SBN 1186 na to na magdagdag po ng justices sa Court of Appeals. Bagamat na ako po naniniwala na mabilis naman ang mga disposisyon ng kaso dyan. And sa dami po ng populasyon natin at sa dami po ng mga kaso, mas maganda talagang dagdagan. Kaya meron lang po akong mga katanungan mamaya para po sa inyo. Ang gusto ko lamang pong malaman ninyong lahat, ako po ay nakasuporta sa bill na ito. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Senator Robin Hood Padilla. May we now recognize Senator Raffy Tulfo, the chairperson of the Senate Committee on Migrant Workers. You have the floor, sir.
Maraming salamat, Mr. Chair, Senator Tolentino, and colleague Senator Padilla. Yung aking pong statement ay nakasentro sa pagbibigay ko po suporta doon po sa bill na ipinail ng mga kasamahan ko tulad ni Senator Bong Revilla, yung at saka Senator Sharon Gatchalian, yung pagdagdag po ng ating mga korte. Totoo po at naangko po ang kasabihan na justice delayed is justice denied. The clogging of the court dockets is a long and lingering problem that besets our judiciary in their effort in dispensing true justice. Lahat tayo ay sang-ayon sa layunin na dapat ang hustisya ay makamit ng lahat sa madali at mabilis na pamamaraan. Ngunit ito po ay napipigilan o nababaalam ng kakulangan ng korte sa ating bansa na magpapatupad nito. Kung madadagdagan po sana natin ng mga korte, mabibigyan na rin ng pag-asa ang ating mga kababayan, lalong-lalo na po yung mga kababayan natin na nabubulok na po sa kulungan habang nililitis ang kanilang kaso dahil sila po ay walang pambayad ng piyansa. This is social justice in a true sense. The net effect of the creation of new courts is the unclogging of court dockets brought about by the speedy dispensation or disposition of all pending cases, and this will also contribute to the depopulation and decongestion of our prisons and detention centers. The cascading effect of this legislation will be felt in the entirety of our judicial system. At wag po sanang magtapos dito kundi dapat tayo po ay mag-ikot sa buong bansa at alamin kung saan pong pang mga lugar na kulang po ang mga korte. We have full confidence in the competence of our magistrate in performing their judicial functions. Same is restricted by the requirements of due process which cannot be sacrificed in the altar of haphazard handling of cases to the detriment of all parties. In criminal cases, court must always respect the right of the accused to the speedy disposition of their cases, while in civil cases, both parties to a case must be given ample opportunity to present their side. Hindi ko na muna tapusin itong speech. Mas maganda po manggaling mismo sa puso ko, hindi yung nagsusulat ng ibang tao. Ang ibig ko lang po sana sabihin dito, dahil sa aking pong karanasan, kulang po yung ating mga korte, overwhelmed po yung ating mga judges, kulang po yung mga west in other words. At yan po ipinaglaban ko na during the budget hearing dito na question ko po yung padalos-dalos na desisyon ng DBM na binabawasan, kinakat, ini-slash yung budget ng judiciary. Marami po ang karanasan in the past na kung saan marami tayong mga mahihirap na kababayan na plinantahan ng ebidensya, na pagtripan ng mga otoridad at yun nakulong. At dahil wala po silang pampiyansa, mahirap nga lang, nabubulok po sila sa city jail. At ngayon, yung ating mga korte ay talagang sobra-sobra po yung clog na. At kulang nga po yung mga korte, isang korte, meron po dyan 2 ang judges, kuminsan 3 pa. So, napapabagal po yung pagliti sa kaso and then later mapapatunayan na lang yung nakulong na inosente pala dahil naplantahan lang sila ng ebidensya. So forth and so on. While pag mayaman, syempre may pangpiyansa. Para sa akin, anti-poor po ito na hindi po natin gawa ng paraan, Mr. Chair, na maparami po sana mga korte natin at madagdagan po ang ating mga judges. Meron po akong karanasan na kung saan ako po mismo, gamit-gamit ko pong sarili kong pera, nagpiyansa po ako sa mahigit na siguro po 12 na mga nakulong dahil napagbintangan lamang. Nalaman lamang ko na sila po inisente, kaya po ako yung nagpiyansa and then later on sila po ay napawalang sala. So, kailangan po talaga yung ating pong mga korte ay madagdagan. Huwag lang po sana sa Cavite. Sana po sa iba't ibang lugar, tingnan natin kung ano yung mga lugar na maraming kaso. Saan yung mga lugar na isang korte, 2 ang judges, 3 pa kuminsan. Doon sana magdagdag tayo ng korte, huwag lang po sa Cavite, sa ibang bansa. Although I really commend Senator Bong Revilla dahil sa batas niya yan, o pinapanukala. And at the same time, siguro, balikan din natin, Mr. Chair, yung batas na parusahan yung mga pulis o sino man mga otoridad na nagpaplanta ng ebidensya. Hindi lamang droga, nagpaplanta ng baril, nagpaplanta ng patalim, nagpaplanta ng kung ano mga bagay na para makulong po yung pobre nating kababayan. Kuminsan na pagtitipan lang po yung mga pobre dahil alam nila, walang pampiyansa, walang panlaban, ginagamit po na fall guy. Diyan po, marami akong karanasan tungkol dyan. Siguro po, pag-aralan po natin, sa mga kasamahan ko dito ng Senado, yung hindi lamang po dun sa pagplanta ng droga, kundi iba pang mga ebidensya na dapat magbayad, maparusahan yung mga nagpaplanta ng ebidensya. And also, Mr. Chair and my dear colleagues, tinitingnan ko rin po na gagawa po tayo ng batas o kinakailangan mag-amend tayo ng mga batas na para yung po mga nakulong na mga mahirap na kababayan na patunayan din later on na walang kasalanan na absuelto, siguro po they deserve compensation from the state. At siguro po, kailangan maparusahan din later on yung mga otoridad or whoever that causes them for them to be wrongly accused. Yan po ang aking suggestion and I invite my dear colleagues to look into that. Yan po ay gagawin kong advocacy ko na para isa pa pong dahilan niyan para madiklag po ang population sa ating mga city jail pati sa ating mga kulungan. Maraming salamat, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Tulfo. We take note of your manifestation as well as recommendation. So we proceed directly to Senate Bill 1186. And if you are familiar with the proposed measure filed by Senator Bongo, it calls for the creation of the 24th Division to be stationed in the city of Vigan for cases coming from the 1st and 2nd judicial regions. Number 2, the 25th and 26th divisions shall be stationed in the city of Davao for cases coming from the 11th and 12th judicial regions. May we know from the Supreme Court representative here, is there really a need to create additional CA divisions considering that the original provisions of Batas Pambansa 129 just called for Manila, Cebu, and Cagayan de Oro? Has there been a backlog of cases lodged in Cagayan de Oro as well as in Manila that would need the creation of 2 additional or 3 additional divisions that would be manned by 9 Court of Appeals justices? Can we have an idea of this and can you share us the official thought of the highest tribunal? Justice Villanueva, you have the...
Maraming salamat po. Good morning, Your Honors. Well, before I make a comment, of course, the presiding justice of the Court of Appeals, the Honorable Remedios Salazar Fernando, is here. She is very much aware of the caseloads, Your Honor. But to my mind, insofar as the proposed bill is concerned, Well, based on data, there are about 69 justices nationwide, Court of Appeals justices nationwide. 9 are stationed in Cebu City. The other 9 are stationed in Cagayan de Oro, and then 51, sorry, are stationed in Manila, including the presiding justice. So these 51 9 plus 18, 51 justices actually covered the entire Luzon island already, Your Honors. And I think the presiding justice would be able to disclose to you the inventory of cases in Mindanao. Based on our own data, Your Honor, with respect to our trial courts, we have lesser cases in Mindanao actually, as compared to cases in Luzon or even Visayas, especially if we separate the NCR. So may I perhaps submit, Your Honor, that with respect to the additional info on the matter, that the Honorable Presiding Justice be recognized.
Thank you, Justice Villanueva. But from what you said, the 51 or 52?
Kasi 69 po sila eh.
51 or 52?
51.
Manila-based
Manila-based lahat po yan.
justices can sufficiently cover Luzon? Your
I think so, Your Honor. If we will divide, and I'm sure the exact data is with our
yes.
Honorable Presiding Justice, but it's not. I think if we divide it based on the number of justices, the caseloads may not be as heavy if we compare it to, for example, RTC judges or first level court trial court judges, Your Honor.
Thank you, Justice Villanueva. May we now recognize the presiding justice of the Court of Appeals, Cabalen, Justice Remigio Salazar Fernando, to enlighten this committee as to the, I think that would include the performance indicators, actual caseload, number of cases filed, pending, number of cases resolved, amongst the Luzon, the Manila, Cebu, and Cagayan de Oro, as well as her official comments relative to Senate Bill 1186. You have the floor, Justice Fernando.
Good morning, Your Honors. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. Good morning to all our co-workers in government. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. Thank you very much, Your Honors, for inviting us today. We are deeply honored, and we would like to express our gratitude to the Committee on Justice and Human Rights for the unflinching support to the judiciary, particularly the Court of Appeals. We're very thankful for our common trust of a speedy disposition of justice. But first, may we give you some background on how the Court of Appeals functions. And we have 69 justices, including the presiding justice. Pursuant to Republic Act 8246, which amended Batas Pambansa 129, the Court of Appeals has 3 stations. First is the Court of Appeals Manila Station, which has 51 justices. The CA Visayas Station, which is housed in Cebu, has 3 divisions. We have 9 justices. The same goes true with the CA Mindanao, which is housed in Cagayan de Oro City. As the Court of Appeals is a collegial body, and a single justice does not decide a particular case. A single justice cannot issue a resolution or a decision. It's always a unanimous decision of 3 members of the division. In the event that one justice will not concur with the findings of a particular member of the division, then we create a special division of 5. That's why we have several divisions per station, because we have to raffle 2 additional members to constitute a special division of 5. Likewise, in the event that a justice could not be physically present in the Court of Appeals, and every day we have raffle of cases at 10:30 in the morning, which is open to the public, a member who is absent will have to be substituted or replaced also through a raffle. Because every pleading and every issue brought before a division will have to be decided by a division composed of 3 justices. So the proposal to create a division of 1 in Region 1, particularly vegan, to handle regions cases within regions 1 and 2 may not be feasible considering the rules that we follow in the Court of Appeals. This is aside from the cost efficiency that we have to consider. To create one division consisting only of 3 justices in a particular province would cost around 106,982,391. To create 3 divisions in another place aside from Cagayan de Oro, we have to multiply that by 3. So it's more than 300 million pesos. And it may be very difficult to justify the cost against the number of cases that we have in regions 1 and 2. The Court of Appeals at present has 24,032 pending cases. These are not submitted for decision. We have 2 stages in the Court of Appeals. First is the completion stage, which is from the filing of a particular case to the filing of several pleadings, exchanges of pleadings, memoranda, until it is finally submitted for decision. And the second stage would be cases which are submitted for decision. Out of the 24,000 plus cases pending before the court, 20,094 are still in the completion stage, which means we're waiting for the filing of several pleadings before we can submit that for decision. And it should be noted that only 3,926 pending cases are submitted for decision nationwide. For the regions 12, 11, and 12, there are only 936 cases in these regions out of the 24,020 cases pending before the Court of Appeals. And
Can you
only
repeat that, Justice?
we have 938 cases from regions 11 and 12 out of the 24,020 cases pending before the Court of Appeals nationwide. And only 2,093 cases out of the 24,020 cases nationwide are coming from the first and the second regions. Cases from regions 11 and 12 account for 40%, 40.8% of the total number of cases nationwide, and only 3.91% of the total cases in the country. Cases from regions 1 and 2 comprise only 11.62% of the total cases in Luzon, and only 8.71% of the total number of cases nationwide. So with those figures, Your Honor, perhaps it would be very difficult to justify a creation of a special division in Vigan and 2 in Davao. However,
If I may be able to
Yes, sure.
interject. how would 40 point something percent, which is part, I'm referring to the 12, region 11 and 12, account for just 3.9 percent in nationwide in proportion to the number of cases filed. So how would 40 point plus percent for those regions be equivalent to just 3.9%? Am I correct in having heard you, ma'am? Yung 40 point plus percent for regions 11 and 12 just account for 3.9% percentage nationwide.
Tama, tama. Yes,
Tama po yan?
apo, apo. Divided by 2402.
Okay.
Apo.
And then for region 1, for the second, first,
Oo.
region 1 and region 2 would just account for the total.
8.71 for regions 1 and 2.
Eh, mas mataas po.
The 3.91 is for the entire Mindanao station.
But the total percentage of regions 1 and 2, ilan po yan, ma'am?
Total percentage for regions 1 and 2, 11.62%.
So yun po yung tanong ko. How can
Apo.
11.62% translate to 8.71% on a nationwide basis as against 40 point plus percent, which is just translated into 3.9%?
The 11.62% is for the entire Luzon, Your Honor.
Luzon.
Apa.
For
And for the 8 is for regions 1 and 2.
would the good presiding justice
Yes,
provide?
Yes, we
provide
will
us
submit the statistics,
copy,
Your
yes,
Honor.
because
Yes.
I'm getting confused because I have a different date
Opo,
in front of
pare-pareho
me.
tayo hindi marunong ng mathematics.
So
But
please
we will
proceed, Your Honor.
submit the statistics, Your Honor.
Please
But
proceed, Your Honor.
yes, Your Honor. But in view of our common trust of a very speedy disposition of cases, may we respectfully suggest a feasible option. We can increase the number of divisions for the CA, and we will have to distribute this to Manila, Cebu, and Cagayan de Oro. So para po equal ang distribution, that's one option.
To say, Your Honor, increase the
Divisions.
divisions.
As
That would be 3 per
recommended.
division, but spread it among the existing posts in Cebu, Manila, and Cagayan de Oro.
Yes, Your Honor, because there will be no additional administrative expenses. Because if we create one division in Vigan, then we will be appointing other administrative staff other than the 3 justices. They have their own coterminous employees. We will have to create administrative support staff for the accounting, for personnel, that would cost 100 plus million, Your Honor. Aside from the fact that we have to rent a space for our office. And the cost of the rent, Your Honor, for Cebu, we're spending 3.7 million a year. And for Cagayan de Oro, we're spending 15 million a year just for the rental.
So your counter proposal is just one. If there is a need to expand it among the existing
Existing.
posts, Manila, Cebu, and Cagayan de Oro, to cover the additional, ilan po ba itong additional? Nine?
Three divisions
3 divisions.
with 9 justices.
So, 3 divisions each.
Opo.
For Cebu, po,
No, 1 division each lang po.
1 division.
Tama.
1 division each.
Yes.
1 in
So
Manila,
Manila
1 in
will-
Cebu, and 1 in Cagayan de Oro.
Manila will have 18 divisions.
No second option.
We have.
I'm looking at the possibility of judges at large because we now have that concept, judges at large. Can there be a justices at large?
Justices at large. It would be very expensive, Your Honor, in the sense that our appointments indicate where we are stationed. And when you transfer to another station, you have to get the consent of that particular justice, which that transfer must not exceed 6 months. Then you have to pay for their per dime every day.
Really patterned after that GAL concept, but justices to be stationed perhaps in Davao for 6 months, and a justice stay stationed, for instance, in Vigan for 6 months, and then back to their home base in Manila.
Then again, Your Honor, we will be maintaining an additional 2 offices. We will maintain support staff for Vigan and Davao. Another option
Please
would
proceed,
be
Your Honor.
Another option would be to add 3 divisions to the Court of Appeals. Again, we have to spread it to Manila, Cebu, and Mindanao. Mindanao can transfer from Cagayan de Oro to Davao City because Davao, most of the offices, regional offices of the national agencies are now in Davao. It's only in the Court of Appeals that we have a station in Cagayan de Oro.
So your second option is to transfer the entire
Entire Mindanao station.
structure within Cagayan de Oro to Davao.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then add one.
And then add one for according to the
And your third alternative, ma'am, if there is any?
wala na.
Two
Opo.
alternatives. So, in effect, mas magastos po pag nag-create ng bago sa Davao at sa Bigan.
Stos,
Mag-
konti ang trabaho. Hindi sulit.
But likewise, the position of the other members of the judiciary present here. Tapos na kayo, ma'am? Meron pa? You still have?
Pwede na rin po. Sasagot na lang po kami pag may tanong pa.
What about the future? What about, we're talking about existing caseloads. What about 5, 6 years from now? Considering that most of the areas that we have mentioned are bustling, thriving economic centers. For instance, Davao's International Airport, and the same is true with the north, though it is in Ilocos Sur. So, hindi po ba natin kinoconsider yun yung future caseloads, or in terms of balancing all of this, cost versus cost effectiveness and whatever cons that you have? Not saying that tingnan natin kahit walang ginagawa muna ngayon, pero hindi ganun siguro ang trust ng judiciary, ma'am, di ba?
Your Honor, even with the increase in the population, as well as the growing number of cases filed with our courts, we
The presiding justice, Senator Robin Hood Padilla would like to interject.
Magandang umaga po uli, Justice. Nakikinig po ako sa inyong paglalahad kanina. Sa akin pong palagay, parang ang dating po mas makamumura yung sinasabi niyo po. At parang ang dating po ay, ewan ko lang po kung tama po ang pagkakaintindi ko, baka ma-judge niyo ako dito, di ba? Di ba? parang ang dating po, parang gusto nating konting baguhin yung bill. May sinasuggest po kayo. Ayun, yun po, malinaw na po, mahal na tagapangulo.
So,
Opo.
dapat yung pag-spend natin ng ating
Sources, opo.
resources, dapat ma-justify natin.
Opo, kasi yung po ang
At
pagkakaintindi
masukuyan
ko.
namin ng trabaho talaga.
Opo, para po ang Mr. Tagapangulo, Ginoong Tagapangulo, para ang dating nagsasuggest po si Ma'am Justice kung paano tayo makakamura. Ayun, opo. Maraming salamat po, mahal na Tagapangulo.
Senator Padilla. Siguro po another quick question would be two questions. How much would it cost to relocate the entire CDO Court of Appeals structure to Davao? That's one. what would be the effects, the immediate effects, short term, mid-term, long term, in terms of litigants coming from that areas, Cagayan de Oro, Bukidnon, Pagadian, if they transfer to Davao. So, yun po siguro maganda mapaliwanag, Justice.
If we transfer our CA Mindanao station from Cagayan de Oro to Davao City, all we need to do is to look for a government office or building or any private building for that matter if we can afford the budget, which is at least equivalent to our rental that we pay, which is 15 million a year. Mukhang mas mura po ang rental sa Davao. Second, we have the facilities mando ng international airport. Number two, ang pagpa-file po at ahin ng kaso sa Court of Appeals ay hindi naman po kailangang physically present. With the innovations introduced by the Supreme Court, pwede na pong electronic filing. And since hindi naman po kami trial courts, we are courts of record, nagre-rely po kami sa lahat ng records. Our clients are mostly the Office of the Solicitor General for criminal cases and the PAO, which are all based in Manila. And they already have their logistics in place when they file their cases before the Court of Appeals. Likewise, even private practicing lawyers are based in Manila for appealed cases, kaya hindi po mahihirapan sila. So electronically, you can deal with us. We, among the justices naman po, we have the Judiciary 365. We also use Zoom and Teams when we have hearings and meetings. So hindi po mahihirapan ang publiko saan man kami naroroon. At gagawin po namin ng paraan na ang serbisyo namin ay mararamdaman ng mga tao. And our concern for the increase in population and the ever-increasing number of cases that will be filed in the future, ito po ay sasagutin na ng aming Zero Backlog Project. Ever since mga ilang years na po yan. Kaya if you will, we will be submitting to you the aging of cases. Wala na po yung matatagal na cases na 10 years old sa amin sa Court of Appeals. We are following the provision of the Constitution that we will resolve cases within 12 months. Meron po kaming statistics dito na wala na po yung 5 years. Nandun na po kami sa 2 and 1 and less than 1 year old cases submitted for resolution.
Thank you, ma'am. I think I have that figures here with me. Resolution of cases, rate of reduction of aging cases, from filing to disposition. Yung target nyo po nung 2021 was just 5%, but the actual was 21%. So congratulations for that. I think you have one law probably jibing with your second recommendation because during the 18th Congress, we just approved the Metropolitan Davao Development Authority aggregating some areas of Davao del Sur, Davao del Norte, Davao de Oro, including the Island Garden City of Samal in one metropolitan area. And it will even include a metropolitan police force, Metropolitan Davao Police Force. So that probably would jibe with your second recommendation. What will happen to Ilocos Sur? The proposal for Ilocos Sur.
For Ilocos, we can handle it in Manila, Your Honor. Konti lang po. As a matter of fact, all the 6 bills filed in Congress, lower house, nakapending lang po because we also appeared before Congressman Fariñas. We explained to them kung paano. Kasi before, their recommendation was to have one Baguio City
Ayaw niyo po
for the
sumuha.
same purpose.
Lipat na lang yung Manila sa Clark.
Oh, ay, opo. Lapit sa akin.
May we ask the proponent, the author of this measure, Senator Bongo, if you're virtually present online, to please join us in this topic, Senator Bongo. I think he's logged in. Senator Bongo, may we ask your retort? Wala bang pwedeng tumawag sa staff ni Senator Bongo? But before that, we will ask the other members. But of course, Justice Remedios Salazar Fernando speaks for the entire appellate justices here. Lahat po siguro. What about the judges present, the president of the Philippine Judges Association? Tatanungin na rin namin kayo dito. Wala ba ho magiging epekto to pag napunta sa Davao, from Cagayan de Oro? Ano ho magiging epekto sa...
Wala po kasi this is appellate court, so wala pong naging epekto sa lower courts for that matter, Your Honor.
Ito nito siguro, immediate effect, yung mga law schools natin sa Xavier, yung mga Cagayan de Oro, nagtuturo na doon sa... Yung mga justices nagtuturo na sa Cagayan de Oro, nag-golf na doon, o lilipat sila sa Davao. Justice Villanueva.
Your Honor, of course, I completely subscribe to the presentation and the position taken by the presiding justice of the Court of Appeals. I have no objection with respect to the proposals or parang recommendations. Likewise, in general, with respect to the bill, to add perhaps 3 divisions composing of 9 justices, 3 justices per division. Except for the spread. I'm an Ilocano from Narbacan, Ilocos Sur, and I would have been happy to see a Court of Appeals division in our province to handle region cases in regions 1 and 2. But I think the practicality of it has been explained already. Siguro ang gusto ko na lang pong sabihin, perhaps if we are considering redistributing these divisions, you might want to consider that the entire 3 divisions devote, be assigned or be located in any region from 1 to 5, so that they will handle cases from regions 1 to 5, and the remaining justices in Manila will just handle NCR cases. I think the data coming from the Court of Appeals, of course, like I said, hindi ako ang pinaka-expert dyan, shows that there are more cases here in Metro Manila compared to the other regions, 5 regions, 1 to 5. However, so as not to overburden the possible new 3 divisions in Luzon, perhaps, of course, pardon me, Madam Presiding Justice, you might want to consider, because I fully agree with her, but just for purposes of I'm speaking not as court administrator but as a former judge as well. To my mind, it might be possible to spread at least 3 of the 3 divisions currently in Manila to be also assigned to handle cases in Luzon, so that if there will be 18 justices based on the present level of cases right now, because we're talking about the future as well, they would be able to handle the caseload. It will be less than 400 per justice if it will be 18 to handle regions 1 to 5. And then in Metro Manila, it will be also less than 400 as well for all the 42 justices who will remain there. Again, I submit this as not as court administrator, Your Honor. I don't want to replace the learned position already of the CA. But since you were talking about, you were asking for some possible suggestions, Your Honor. That's why I'm just presenting it. Thank you.
Justice. Can you submit that formally to this committee para we can, during the period of
If
amendment, so it jibes with what I have said a while ago. If the justice at large notion cannot be implemented here, what about division at large? Division at large. Itong division na to, marami sa Cagayan Valley na nasa appellate na. Yung buong division dalhin sa Tugigaraw. Di ba? Tapos pagtapos na sila doon, yung buong division dalhin sa Northern Luzon, kung saan naman, o sa Southern Luzon. Ang bubuhatin natin yung division na, hindi yung concept ng judge at large, judge lang, parang pairing lang. Ito yung buong division ng lift natin.
Before the answer, Your Honor, if I may, Just like what happened in Cebu and Cagayan de Oro. These are permanent stations. So they really handle specific cases coming from the major islands of Visayas and Mindanao. So mahirap po yung ano, as mentioned already, may administrative challenge kasi. If you try to make it only temporary, it has to be permanent, similar to what was done in Cebu and Cagayan de Oro. And likewise, the JAL concept, the judges at large concept, actually, we do not have administrative cost in a way because we assign these judges at large to existing courts already. So there is no need to come up with additional courtrooms for them, except that they will just take over vacant or heavily burdened courts so that one way or the other, all of these pending cases in those courts can be addressed, Your Honor.
So your proposals, we will await your proposals. So that would result in an amendment to existing laws, changing the city of Cagayan de Oro as the station to Davao. Well, that's one, alternative two. And then the first alternative is just increase without transferring to the stations. So dalawa lang yung suggestions ninyo. But in effect, you are not against, but in terms of costs, yun lang siguro ang kinukonsider. Yung sa akin naman kasi, kaya ako nasabi yun, parang strike force ng military. Kung saan may problema, doon mo dalhin yun. So parang isang mobile division. O, may maraming kaso nandun, dalhin mo sila doon. Pakatapos sila, balik uli sila sa Maynila o balik, hindi pwede yun. Hindi pwede pala yun. Yes.
And besides, Your Honor, if you have only one division in a particular case, and the justice can no longer file a leave, he cannot inhibit, he cannot get sick. Kaya dapat 3 po with other divisions, because if one inhibits, you get another justice from another division to replace. One gets sick, you replace him again from another division. If there's only a single division, where do we get the replacement?
Permission of my colleagues, before coming here, we were discussing the confirmation of the ICT Secretary Ivan Uy. So coming from Supreme Court. So ang tinanong ko lang po, paki-explain nga sa amin kung ano ibig sabihin ng virtual real estate, digital real estate. Pwede kang bumili ngayon ng lupa, real estate condominium na nasa digital na hindi mo nakikita. Ang bayad mo, digital din. Digital din. So, ang hirap na konsepto, metaverse. So, baka dumating tayo sa punto, digital na rin yung judge. Kahit absent yung isang judge, merong isang digital na judge. Di ba ho? Parang, ang hirap po explain, parang lalabas na lang siya doon kung saan siya galing, present din. Yun ho yung ini-explain kanina, hindi ko nga ho maintindihan eh. So, digital real estate, digital condominium, virtual currency, ang binabayad mo, hindi mo nahawakan. Yung binili mong lupa, hindi mo rin nakita. Pero nagbayaran kayo. Siguro later on, magkakaroon tayo ng ganon. Digital justice. Di ba?
Sana po, opo.
Senator
Yun lang,
Bongo.
physical presence or virtual presence, posible na po kasi ngayon sa amin.
Opo.
O ginagawa na po namin. Ang problema lang is because we are court of record. This is a court of record. Pag meron pong pag-aaralan, yung ganyan po yung mga rolyo namin that we study. So we have
Pwede
to be
digital.
there in the division.
Baka ang ipropose susunod, digital na kulungan na. Digital penitentiary.
Yes.
I was just informed that Senator Bongo is on the road and will no longer speak. He will just maintain his bill as filed. So we take note of your positions. May we ask from Justice Edwin Sorongon, Assistant Judge
Yes.
of Court of Appeals, if you have
Good
an
morning,
additional-
Your Honors. Thank you for inviting us, and we really appreciate your invitation, and we thank you also for fully supporting the judiciary in its budget and also in all its endeavors, especially the Court of Appeals. Well, in addition to what our presiding justice has said, the inputs and the data that we have presented will most likely benefit you in preparing, in assessing your proposed bill. PJ has already elaborated that because the CA has a different dynamics when it comes to um, holding cases or trying cases. We normally don't do trials, and in fact we decide cases based on the pleadings. That is why when our PJ proposed that we have to maintain the existing stations in Manila, CDO, or Davao for that matter, as we have already proposed, and Cebu. It's all for the good, not only of the litigants, but also for the justices who are assigned to those places. And another thing, it will be, as already explained by PJ, it will entail a lot of expenses for the government because we will be utilizing, if we add more divisions, we will be creating new positions that will be the support, administrative support of these justices. So like PJ, I also move that or recommend that we will have a different outlook on this bill being proposed by Senator Bongo. Thank you.
Justice Sorongan. Sorongan, so the evolving consensus here coming from the justices present is that to amend the law that would effect the transfer of the current station in CDO to Davao. So, siguro last question ko na lang, bakit pa sa CDO napili nung araw? Kasi nung araw, intermediate appellate court ito.
Opo.
Bakit po?
That was in 1996. All of us were not in the court yet. No?
Wala pang institutional memory po sa inyo.
Opo.
There must be a reason
Uh,
for selecting
at that
Cagayan de
time, at that time, the Senate President was Senator Nene Pimentel.
So, the reason, tiga doon po siya, di ba?
Opo.
So, that probably would be one of the factors. Ayun, yung sa Tagaytay, doon na lang ilipat. Biro lang ho yun. Biro lang ho yun. So, we take note of all your positions and manifestations, but please submit to this committee, perhaps before the Christmas break starts, in writing, as well as the caseloads that you mentioned. The caseloads that you mentioned. Senator Tulfo would like to check. Nice.
Actually, thank you, Mr. Chair. My question, I would like to direct, kung okay lang, kay Presiding Judge, Judge Ira Fitzy Cruz Rojo, kasi siya po yung Philippine Judge Association. My question is, ma'am, what is the ideal number of cases that a judge must hear in one particular day? Kasi nga po, na-notice ko, in my experience, na sinamahan ko po yung mga complainant, 15 cases ang inahandle sa isang araw na isang judge, samantalang sa ibang bansa, tulad Amerika, 2-3 lang ata, sa atin 15, kuminsan umabot pa ng 20. So ang suma total niyan, hindi natatapos nung judge, overwhelmed siya, pinopostpone hanggang sa postpone. So ano ho ba talaga dapat?
In my experience, we could finish at least 15 cases, but not all of them are for trial. Most of them could be in criminal cases for arraignment or for pre-trial, not in the trial proper or the presentation of evidence. Because if for presentation of evidence, we could finish at the most is around 6 to 8.
Pero
It depends. In civil cases, it's more The testimony are quite lengthy.
Pero di ho ba parang overwhelmed na po yung judge natin yan? So medyo na-jeopardize na kuminsan yung kanyang judgment, yung kanya pong trabaho, yung pag-perform ng kanyang duty kasi marami siyang kasong inaasikaso.
Opo. In fact, we held hearings every day and usually morning and afternoon.
Yeah.
So usually it's not the judges din but all of the staff from the stenographers.
Kasi po, napapansin ko rin, hindi rin po kasi proportion yung number of cases raffled to a judge versus yung the number of cases being disposed. So dito nakikita ko talaga, overwhelmed po talaga yung ating mga judges. Yung sinasabi ko kanina, Mr. Chair,
Maraming pong salamat.
kailangan talaga na additional judges. Halimbawa, nag-retire yung isang judge. So yung kaso niya kanina ipapasa yon. Then it will take years bago mapalitan kuminsan yung isang judge. So nagpapatong-patong na yung kaso. So ulitin ko po, hindi parang silang plaka na ako. Ang naapektuhan dito yung mga mahihirap natin ng mga kababayan na nag-antay na malitis yung kanilang kaso city jail, wala silang pampiyansa, and then later mapatunayan nung pag nagkaroon ng oras yung judge sa proper time na inosente pala siya pero nabulok na siya sa bilangguan. Yun po ibig sabihin, Mr. Chair. So it's really high time na i-assess natin kung saan yung mga lugar na kulang yung mga judges at kulang yung mga korte. Dapat yun isama natin sa ating budget next time. Kaya nakipaglaban ako dyan sa DBM na yun talaga ang gusto ko because I have experience, I've seen, at I know for a fact, marami po tayong mga nakakulong dyan sa mga city jail na wala talaga silang kasalanan na pagbintangan lamang sila, na pagdiskitahan, na pagtripan ng mga otoridad. And just because they're poor, wala si pampiyansa, kaya nandun sila sa kulungan. So siguro it's about time na hindi lamang po sa Cavite, kundi sa lahat ng lugar, paano natin ma-assess kung ano po yung mga lugar na kulang po yung mga judges, kulang pa mga korte. Would you know that, ma'am?
Well, ito po aming boss, si Court Ada.
Ay.
Actually, he has the statistics, but in Pasig, medyo okay po kami doon. But in Rizal, I was a judge then in Rizal. They handled 2,000 to 3,000 cases. Those are their case load. So you could only imagine how long the trial could take and how long a case will sit in a certain judge or in a certain court.
Okay, so tatanungin ko po si Justice Raul Villanueva. So sir, ano po yung mga lugar sa tingin niyo po kailangan talaga ng mga korte? Ano po yung mga lugar na kailangan talaga ng mga judges dahil kulang po talaga?
Yes po. Magandang umaga po. Unang-una po, I think it's there's a need not to disclose that all over the country we have about 1,000, more than 1,000, 1,100 no, na mga courthouses and halls of justice. Kaya lang only about 400 are owned by the Supreme Court. So and the rest, kumbaga sa are owned by the LGU kasi most of the courts that are being sponsored, no, for lack of a better term, by the LGUs are single sala courts na mga first level. So kumbaga sa they can provide the space and the facilities, no, for that. Of course, the maintenance sa amin pagka tinurn over sa amin. So we have the funds for those insofar as operations are concerned. Ang gusto ko lang sabihin, so saan kailangan gumawa? Well, marami po, no? Marami po na na mga courts na kailangan po nating gawin, lalo na pagka dinadagdagan po yung mga judges. Kaya yun po yung isa sa mga palagi po naming inihiling na sana po pagka mag-create po ng courts, ng mga additional courts, kailangan po ng funding for the courts facilities themselves. Otherwise, every time na-appoint po, wala po silang lulugaran. Although we always ask in advance the LGUs for that, I mean, so far as that is concerned, kasi sila yung nag-propose. Kaya lang po, siyempre, it's not that easy to do. Kasi nga, sometimes they wait for the appointment. When you wait for the appointment, wala na po na medyo hindi na siya makapag-function immediately. Another thing po is, so nationwide in a sense, no? But the major areas, siyempre, yung mga bustling cities kasi yun talaga yung mga maraming caseload. So ang marami po natin kailangan lagyan ng mga judges are the bustling cities with many caseloads. Like for example, in Antipolo, marami pong cases yan. Like for example, in Malolos, marami pong cases dyan. No? Like if we go to other provinces in Baguio, there are new courts already, but this may not be enough. If we go to the north, further north, Lawag may be considered as there might be some additional courts that may be needed. And then in Pangasinan as well, no, like in Dagupan or even in Lingayen. So going to the Visayas, Iloilo meron palagi, Cebu palagi, marami po talaga mga cases po diyan. And then some areas in Tacloban, no, and then even in other parts of Leyte. Then in Mindanao, yan po, Davao is also needed, Davao City. Then also in Gensan, no, with respect to some, siguro hindi naman marami, no, but some, just to mention, no, a few. But the point is, we wait for the, we have the statistics. We always determine based on our data kasi, at least 500 dapat ang average caseload ng isang RTC judge. Tapos ang isang first level court judge about 300 dapat. Pagka lumagpas na po diyan, then it's kumbaga sa it's good practice to already create courts for them. Kasi nga ibig sabihin masosobrahan na po sila. So yan po yung yan po lang ang gusto kong sabihin, Your Honor. That there are so many, no. Ang pinaka-concern lang po namin yung infrastructure. In fact, siguro yan ang hihilingin po namin sa Kongreso while we are being given funds, no, to construct. Ang nagiging problema po namin na sometimes yung mga yung mga biddings na po eh. Ang feeling namin yun na nagpapatagal. Ako, I'm saying this from experience as a former head of 3 BACs po sa Supreme Court. And honestly, ang gusto po namin is pag kami funding, sana ma-build ka agad, no? Kaya lang po, yun na nga, iba-iba ang needs per station eh. Iba-iba po yung but the Chief Justice is really, we're coming out with parang single kumbaga sa uniform style design. Kaya lang yun na nga, depende rin po sa lupa na ibibigay eh. Kasi kung minsan ang kailangan namin is 1,500 square meters. Ang binibigay po sa amin or ang available sa amin is 500 only. So you see that's how difficult it is sometimes. It's hard to fit in everything. But we're doing everything we could, Your Honor. Ang hinihingi lang namin talaga yung tungkol sa bidding process talaga. Kasi yan ang nagpapatagal sa amin, to be honest about it. We used to have a juicy program before, a long time ago. While we accept that it was good for the short term, kaya lang medyo in the long term naging masalimuot, nagkaroon ng issue regarding cross-border pa at that time, no. So I mean later on. So yun lang po initially. Salamat po.
Pwede makasingit pa isa
Senator Tulfo.
Mr. Chair. Okay, kasi you did mention po, Justice Villanueva,